All right, what's going on, everybody? I want to speak to a certain group of people. A lot of you guys have been watching me, and you are fighting this good fight, this race that you are trying to be pleasing, loving to the Lord, and trying to do what God has called you to do and get yourself to the next level in your walk with Christ. And for many of us, we don't realize it, but we're in a time where God is using unorthodox means, unusual means, and teaching people life lessons, different things that are going through you in your life in the way that not necessarily everybody in the world, the religious, spirit, the pharisaical type of people, everybody that's been telling you, well, it's got to be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you got to do it this way. But what God is doing is He's calling a lot of people through your messiness, through some of the decisions that you've made, through all the different circumstances that has gone on in your life, in order to teach you and to get you to a place so that in your response to Him, in your ability to discern and to say, man, I choose the Lord, I choose righteousness over everything else that I've gone through, to get yourself to a place where God can use you. And not every lesson, not every life circumstance, not everything that seems like it should be input and output. It should be cause and effect, and it should be this to that, X, A, B, C, D, this way. It's not always going to be the same for everybody. And everybody looks at, a certain thing and say, oh, you should have learned God's grace. You should have learned how to behave better. You should have learned how to act in a righteous way. You should have learned how to do church. You should have learned how to be a Christian. You should have learned how to, get back in your walk with God through this situation, through this difficulty, through your circumstance, or whatever it is. But for many people, they don't see it. They're not going to understand your life. They're not going to understand what happened to all of the different pains and the circumstances you went through to get you to be on that path of A, B, C, D, that you have to learn X, Y, Z, that you should have been molded and shaped to be this type of person. But really what God sees is all these different types of prodigal sons. He sees all these different types of Jobs, right, going through suffering, even though he was a righteous man. He's seeing your life in a way that's different to the rational eye of all these people that have looked at your life and said, well, he's a lost cause. Oh, well, he said the wrong thing. Oh, wait, he acted unusually. Oh, wait, he did something that I don't agree with. Oh, wait, his perspective of reality is different, and therefore he is wrong, and I'm going to write him off. But no, God, He sees you, all of your different thoughts, your ideologies, your upbringings. He sees all of your actions, the things you do in public and in private. He sees every single thing that you've gone through and what you're going to go through, and knows the path that you are on. And everybody else is going to judge and say, man, he didn't learn that lesson at the time you needed to learn it. He didn't go through that trial and respond in the appropriate way that he should have. He should have acted and said it in this way. But so many people, because they have such a cookie cutter mentality, because they have such an approach, a structure that they think should be the right way, the rational way, the Christian way, the way that I went through, the traditional way, that they're not going to see what God has for you and the plan He has in your life. And so don't think all these people that are on your case and trying to get you to do it in a certain traditional route or in a certain a template, right? A certain cookie cutter approach. Don't look at those guys and think, man, I messed up or I did something wrong or off. But really, you got to see it from between you and God. You got to see it between what God has for you, and how in your individual life, in your individual circumstance, that you may have to go through a certain season of an extra bit of, suffering or trial or tribulation. You may have to go through some bumps in the road. You may even have to stumble a little bit and it looks bad to other people, in order for then you to get up and say, man, I'm so glad that the grace of God was in my life, that the love of Christ was with me, and that the Holy Spirit was over me, and that even though I went through these circumstances and that nobody understood it, God understood it. And I can stand up, not be ashamed of it, not be gaslit, into a certain viewpoint, an ideology, a certain perspective. But really, you got up and said, man, this was my custom-made blueprint to my life that God had for me. And I'm going to follow it. I'm going to be joyous in it. And I'm going to say, man, I have no shame. And God, He's going to do things in due time in my life. So if you realize that, and you're in a place for which You don't quite understand why it is that other people have gone through things quickly. They've gone through things in a more rational, traditional route, but then you have gone through things and you don't really know and understand why it is that's the case for you. But I'm here to tell you that God, He knows your exact moments, your movements, your dictations and your actions and words and all these different things in your life. And He's custom made your life to the way that He wants you to live. And yes, it's going to be bumpy. Yes, it's going to be a little tough, but take heart, because this is your life between you and God. You don't have to worry about all these other people. You don't have to worry about all these other opinions and traditional roots or religious mentalities and these whatever that standard is, that expectation is of your life, of the decision, the thought process that you have to have in that moment. But really, God sees you. And that's the beauty of the individual, precise, detail-orientedness that God has in your life. Everybody else is going to summarize your life. They're just going to see parts of it. They're not going to see who you were in and out of a certain circumstance in your life. But God sees all of that. And you don't have to worry about all these other things that are passing you by, people zooming past you, everybody else telling you what you should be learning, what you should be doing by a certain time or an age. But really, you just have to stick to God. You have to be in His presence, and you have to just trust Him and be close to Him. And none of the other things matter. You have an audience of one, and that's all that matters. And so again, guys, look at your life the way God sees your life, not the way everybody else sees your life. So I wanted to encourage some people as you're going through some things. Many people, you're in a unique circumstance. You can't quite figure it out. But I'm here to tell you, you don't even have to figure all that out. Just trust Him. Lean into Him. God bless you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.